Welcome to Board Game Animal. My name is Justin, and today we're looking at Totally Human, the latest from Bitewing Games that is part of their current crowdfunding campaign. As I mentioned in our video for Gold Country, I know there's a fine line between previews and reviews, and sometimes people wonder about that. I know the line can get a bit blurred. A review copy was indeed provided by Bitewing. Instead of just a step-by-step preview of what's in the game, I will always lean towards doing a review because I'd rather share my honest opinion, no matter what that is, of the game to give you some perspective on it. Because then maybe what I appreciate or don't about a game will speak to you personally. So let's get to it. A lot of good party games find their humor and hook in the idea of, why did so-and-so say this, or pick this? And Totally Human takes this principle and maxes it out. Thanks to the variety in question and answer combinations, and absurd discussions that always transpire, every play is fresh and ridiculous in the very best way possible. The gist of this game is that there is likely at least one alien among us who is trying their best to blend in, and Bitewing is no stranger to working with aliens.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing, don't worry about it. In Totally Human, from That's Not a Hat designer Casper Lapp, players will be dealt cards to tell them if they're human or an alien. If you're a human, you have nothing to worry about. Well, as long as you're not too sus, and more on that in a minute. If you're an alien, you have to pay attention to the numbers on your dealt cards. Why? Well, over the course of the relatively quick game, you will be answering 3 questions that will have numbered answers. And those numbers on your cards, if you're an alien, you must choose answers that align with them. Meaning, if you're the alien and your cards say 2, 3, and 5 on them, it means when you go to answer those 3 questions, you're going to have to answer 5 for one of them. You're going to answer number 3 for one of them, and so on. So the first question, you have some agency to be reasonable. Maybe pick the one that sounds the least suspicious. But as you go through, as the options start to dwindle, your answer is going to sound even more sus, as the kids say. After each question, there is a lot of discussion and banter, and after all the questions, everyone does a big discussion as folks choose their departing ship, and if the alien is on the biggest ship along with humans, the aliens succeed. Like I mentioned in the outset, Totally Human takes the general hook of a lot of party games and maxes it out, because usually the tension and discussion stems from, what is this person trying to convey with one piece of information, or drawing a line between 2 things? But in Totally Human, you have a lot of variables that makes every single question really, really interesting. It's not just simple, generic interaction points, one thing connecting to another, but there's actually a lot of depth there. Because of the fact that you're getting a random question, a random adjective set, and random subject set, the combination possibilities are vast. And maybe the answer is obvious, but more than likely it's not. And even if you're not the alien, you may end up sweating having to defend your choice. And I think more than a lot of other party games, this is one where your opinion may be wildly more humorous and impactful than in others. And if you're the alien, you probably will be working overtime to try to defend yourself, because that answer may have been one you were forced to choose. It's so funny because the line between a human player justifying silly opinion while being human, that's just their silly opinion they chose, and an alien defending a forced answer is really a hilarious squiggly line because the energy from these can be very similar. Maybe the alien got lucky and got a number that made sense. That does happen. And maybe the human player just picked something super suspicious because they thought something made sense or thought it was funny, and they're just operating from a different perspective. And the fact that most plays of this result in a medley of all of the above has resulted in each play of this getting rambunctious and silly and full of laughter. I mean, it really puts you in the funniest situations. In one game, I found myself fighting for my life trying to explain why Batman wouldn't have been the best answer for something. I mean, it's Batman. One of the big reasons I wanted to approach this as a review and not as just a step-by-step preview is because I already knew I liked the game, having had the opportunity to playtest this one early on with Bitewing. I was extremely hopeful to see this one come to fruition and was just beyond excited to hear the news that this was going to be a thing. Because even in its unfinished state, it was a blast and wanted people to know just how much I really, really enjoyed it. Because party games are not something I typically do talk about on the channel, and it takes something special to rank super highly for me. So yeah, I personally give Totally Human somewhere in like an 8.59 territory. I'm sure it's just a matter of time with playing with more people and more frequently that'll make it rise, because I have not had a bad play of this one. I think there's enough deduction adjacent energy in this one for board game hobbyist fans to really sink their teeth into. I think there's also such little overhead that this is great for everyone, for parties, for casual gamers, for families and children, and at a slew of different player counts at that. I think if a party game has a lot of replayability, an actual interesting hook of player interaction, and consistently makes the players laugh out loud, not to mention looks as whimsical and humorous as this does, that's a winner of a party game. And Totally Human, for me, is now one of the best in the genre. This is one that I will always pull out. If this sounds like fun to you, then I highly recommend you check out the crowdfunding campaign. It's also on there with Gold Country. Watch our coverage of that if you haven't. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to discuss this one. Thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. And check us out on Blue Sky and Instagram. Feel free to connect. I always would love to say hi. And in the meantime, don't forget to play board games like an animal, which is not totally human.
You know, I'm not human. So when I play this game, am I pretending to be a frog, pretending to be an alien, pretending to be a human? Or am I pretending to just be a frog?
So you're always the imposter. Well, you actually are a frog?
No, remember Kinitsi implied that I'm the alien behind everything.
Wait a minute, so you're a frog pretending to be human, but you're really an alien pretending to be a frog, manipulating time so you can interact with young Kinitsia, who is also an alien, to change pre-existing games in the original Knizia timeline to then become animal and alien-themed games at Bitewing, which then, because of this whole facade, made them make a game that is all about alien imposters pretending to be totally human?
You're either overthinking this or taking this way too seriously.
I'm gonna need like a corkboard and some pins and some string.